So it is still November 19th, 2025, and I'm still Larissa. And so this guy, Andre, who threatened me this morning online here, it's interesting because when I was first open in Saratoga, when I first opened my gallery, when I was first looking, I was looking for figure models to work with. And I was given the number of a person by an art teacher in Saratoga. So I reached out to this person, and they actually came in for an interview. They were an undocumented Russian refugee, and his name was Andre. And after that, the property management there, Michael Kaysen and Tempest Properties, they kept on sending in guys that spoke Russian to work on the plumbing and stuff. And it was very strange. It was very, very strange. And so now they were real shifty with my business. They refused to give me an actual physical mailing address and all kinds of shit. And now this kind of stuff has been happening. So I just want to let any law enforcement that might be looking at this and actually giving a shit if something happens to me, which I don't expect because that hasn't been the case my entire life. I've been the target of law enforcement all of my life, even though, I'm a citizen and I haven't broken any laws. I guess it's just the price you pay for being me. I don't know. I don't know what the issue is. Other than I am pro-choice and my family is not, and they have used that as a reason to say I'm crazy because I don't know. I don't know because I've had anti-choice people come in and threaten me and tell me they wish I were dead as well, in the gallery. So, and those were women who the one had an I Love Texas shirt on. Yeah. So I don't know what all of this is, but I'm getting death threats. It's not the first time I've gotten death threats, and I started being followed around. I first noticed being followed when we lived in Santa Rosa, and that happened after we had our windows replaced. We had windows replaced in our house on Haman, and the crew that came in was entirely a Russian crew. I was working in my studio, and I had been listening to some Orthodox chanting because I like chanting. I enjoy it aesthetically. And after that, while they were there, I started being followed regularly. So I don't know. I don't know what it's all about. And the woman up in Santa Rosa, the first house that we rented from a man named Matthew Boersma and his wife, and I can't remember her first name. The daughter's name was Anya. His wife had immigrated from Ukraine, but told me she was Russian. And we were down the street from a Russian Orthodox church, St. Olga's. And she was irritated with me when I told her that I had Ukrainian heritage. And she was really mad. So originally, the house had really expensive appliances in the kitchen, and they were supposed to be left. That was part of the agreement. And when we showed up to move in on move-in day that was agreed upon, they weren't moved out of the house entirely yet. There was still trash and all kinds of shit, and they were still moving stuff out. And he had removed all of the high-end appliances and put in cheap secondhand appliances because she was mad and didn't want anybody with Ukrainian heritage having her expensive stove. Yeah, that's how that bitch felt about me. So, like, I've been dealing with this weird kind of passive aggressive attitude from Russian natives, ethnic Russian natives, for a long time, right? And I had a Russian woman in Saratoga told me that I should just give my things away for free. Yeah. Because Russians think that they can take from Ukrainian people anything they want, right? Yeah. And then she was with people who were marching up and down every Sunday and shaking the Israeli flag in my front door. So, pardon me for existing. Excuse me for existing. I also had some Ukrainian guy, native Ukrainian guy in Saratoga, vandalize my store, right? So, you know, what do you do? What do you say? What do you say about this shit? But I regularly get threats. I regularly get threats. So anyway, I just wanted to give that information. I used to have the guy's phone number on my phone. I cleaned out my contacts a while back, and I must have deleted his number because I had his number in there for quite some time under Andre the Figure Model. Yeah, yeah. He told me. He said I asked him. He said he came over the Mexican border, and I asked him. I said, "Are there a lot of you?" He said, "Yeah." And he says, a lot of us tell people we're Ukrainian." He says, "But we're not. We're Russian, and we just don't, we don't want to fight for Russia." So there's a lot of Russians here, and so whether or not that have come to the United States that way, and whether whether they're here actually because they want to escape Russia, or because they are working underground for Russia, or they're trying to escape Russia and they've been contacted and told that their families are no longer safe unless they do things for Russia. I don't know, because that's the way that shit works. All I know is that I'm getting threats.